Hello and welcome to the Mind Journal. I'm partnering with the Mind Journal. My name is Bryre Roots. I'm a meditation teacher, coach, spiritual life coach, but all of those titles, I'm a woman on a journey, on a mission to allow my heart to open a little bit more for love. Who there is on that journey too. And I really believe the journey that we're all on, or I'm on, you're on, clients are on, is to come back to love. And I think sometimes we forget it. I know I can speak for myself and the people that I work with, we forget um, what we really truly desire, which is love. So we're going to be speaking a little bit about what blocks us in that, what blocks love, connection, intimacy, and how we can create more spaciousness in our lives, more depth, more love, more truth, more simplicity. So love can flow through into us so we can crack our hearts a little bit more open for love. How does that sound? Everyone listening, everyone joining live, please share where you're coming from. I'd love to just open this space to have if you've got any questions, any reflections, where you're coming from in the world. I would love to know. I'm coming from Bali. I've been living here the last 6 years. And yeah, I've been running retreats, group coaching programs, working with clients one-on-one for the last 6 years online. It's such an honor to be able to hold the space for us all to go through the waves of emotion of life. And I think that's kind of the Jacqueline. Hello, nice to connect with you from Canada, South Africa. Oh, I'm actually moving there with my boyfriend in August, so that's cool. Philippines, amazing. Oh, I love seeing where you guys are coming in from. And I'm going to be throughout the conversation, obviously, I'm not sure how long we'll go for. I always say like 15, 20 minutes, but then it will probably go for like an hour if we're really in the flow and it's getting juicy and delicious, which I hope so. And for sure, if you have any questions that come up in the moment, you can put them in, and my team will be looking at them and sharing some of them, and I can answer them as we go. So I'm going to share a little bit about the flow for today. So what I thought was, we've introduced ourselves, we've got to know each other. Hopefully there's some form of connection where you're like, I want to maybe listen a little bit more. So that's where we're going today. I want to kind of give you an overview of, a big part of the work that I do is Tantra. Tantra is not just necessarily the sex part of Tantra. With a lot of new age, Tantra is more about the kind of the taboo things. But actually Tantra is to weave, is to really create these connections. Tran is to weave and expand. And I really believe the more that we practice like meditation, spiritual practice, which is something I'm very devoted to sharing, the more that we can start to weave our spiritual life and our mundane life. So relationships, namaste, relationships, our purpose, our work, it becomes an offering, a devotional offering. And what gets in the way of our offering? What gets in the way of our love? What gets in the way of us being more joyful, more in love, more connected is the bloody ego. And I know this because I have a big ego. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had to do a lot of work on my ego. And it's an ongoing process. So I'm going to speak a little bit about the ego. What is the ego? How it affects our relationships. And then give you some simple practices that you can do today to help start to bring that devotion into your life, into your relationships. So when the ego, I like to call mine Claudia, when Claudia comes alive, the higher self, the higher Bryre can look at Claudia and go, oh, look at that ego coming out, trying to disconnect me from love and connection, which, a lot of the time comes from trauma, comes from, our childhood, where we've had maybe our caregivers, our parents that have maybe not been able to give us the unconditional love. They've not been able to give us the presence and the devotion that maybe we really needed as a child. And we don't blame our parents. Our past is our past, but we as adults are on this healing journey, and we're trying to get better at life. So we have to learn to take responsibility of that and learn to not say goodbye to the ego. Like Eckhart Tolle, he's always, like the ego is our friend almost. It's like we want to have an ego in life. We need power to perform and to achieve things and to get shit done, excuse my French. We really love the ego. Ego can be a really powerful tool. However, if it's overpowering us, then it becomes a weapon of mass destruction. And we know a few people in the politics world, not going there though, that maybe have a big ego. So we're going to look at that, and then I'm going to give you some practices and some simple tools to help yourself in relationships, to regulate maybe some of these emotions that come up, that come alive when the ego feels threatened in our relationships, because that's where our heart is the most vulnerable. That's when our little tender heart is so vulnerable and can get hurt. So that's really where relating to people in friendships, in business, in our intimate relationships, that's when we're most exposed to this ego part of us. So, and then depending on how you're all vibing, I would love to guide you through a little meditation at the end. So how does that sound? Give me a thumbs up, give me some love, so I know that you're listening and I'm not just talking to myself. That's always nice. And if you are working with your ego, if you are learning about meditation, spiritual practice, or some form of self-reflection, that you are looking at your ego in a more conscious way, and you're seeing, okay, these habits, these emotions, these patterns of behavior are coming up when I feel triggered. So the ego likes to come up in these moments of stress, when we feel this strong emotional charge. So, for example, like your partner says something to you, or they haven't done the dishes, or something happens in your relationship where you feel like a strong emotional charge kicks in. So maybe you'll feel like a tightness in the chest, or you'll just feel anger straight away, or you'll feel sadness, or something like comes over you and you don't know why. And it's a very strong emotional charge. Now, this we call, well, it's not necessarily just ego. It's more of this little Bryre, this little girl inside of each and every one of us, little boy, little girl. And that part of us is that kind of wounded self, that wounded child, that some of us, in our life, we didn't get our needs met in some ways. The need for authenticity, the need for love, the need for connection, the need for autonomy, those basic needs that we need as children. So what happens is when we don't get those needs met, we kind of fragment that part of ourselves that maybe wasn't liked, accepted, loved, and we kind of reject, disown, and kind of shut it away. So for me, for example, I was super sensitive, and that was not safe for me to be sensitive. Without going into too much story, it wasn't safe for me to be sensitive. So I got this like kind of hard shell on. I became really independent, traveling the world at a young age, and closed myself off for intimacy and love and emotion. And all of this is connected to the heart. So where we're going right now is to open that space, to open that heart. So if you're listening right now, just bring your hands on your heart, connect to her, connect to him, that heart, that little inner child within each and every one of us, and just take a deep breath. Now we'll take one sigh. Take a deep breath in and sigh out through the mouth. Beautiful. Just right here, right now. There's nowhere else that you need to be. Just being present with this talk. So as we get into relationships, that inner child, that inner part of us comes alive. And, as we become adults, this part of us that is like, okay, we're conscious adults. We work a lot in the mind. We know what we like. We know what we don't like. However, when our partner triggers something inside of us that makes us maybe not feel good, maybe we feel rejected, abandoned, that little part of us comes alive. And all of the times that we have been rejected or not felt loved or felt abandoned, or all of those things where basically we had to trade our attachment to our caregiver with our authenticity. So our authentic need in that moment, maybe it was to cry. Maybe your mum said, oh, I can't look at your painting right now. And you felt this, oh, there's no time for me. There's not enough space for me. And then later in life, you create that narrative, that story. It's not safe to be seen, or I'm not good enough. And that story, that belief then comes and ripples out into your whole world, because what is happening in here is a reflection in the external world. So for example, when you go to your partner, you want to show them something or cook them a meal or do something lovely for them, and they don't show up with the appreciation or the love that you expected, the ego comes alive. And that ego is trying to keep us separate. It's trying to keep us safe. It's keeping us safe. However, the ego, the illusion of the ego is we are separate. You and I are separate. And all of the spiritual traditions and the traditions that I'm really a part of is like Hindu yoga philosophy is, yoga is to unite, to be in union. And I read something today. I'm just going to read it quickly, so I think it will resonate with you guys. By Lauren Karen. He's amazing on Instagram. Some of our wounds can only be healed in relationships because they only become visible in the mirror of union. That is the path of sacred union, activating a form of healing that is only possible through two hearts uniting. So the ego trap is that you and I are separate, or the person you're in love with or the person that you're relating with is separate. It doesn't necessarily have to be an intimate relationship. It could be a friend or brother, sister, mother, that kind of thing. And the ego basically wants to keep you safe, but then it has to keep you separate. So you come into this world separate. But, we're thinking about God, universe, whatever you like to call whatever this weird, wonderful universe is. We're actually all pretty much connected, like nature, like we're coming out of our mother's womb, like everything's so connected, but we form this separate identity of disconnection to have this human experience. So then when we come into our relationships, we're naturally attracted towards people that feel like, normally attraction, that polarity comes from, there's a part within that person that we have rejected, disowned, denied. And when we're in front of that person and we feel those butterflies and that kind of, that feeling of love, it's so good. We feel it, that comes alive, and we feel that connection of love, of union, of oneness. And that's where we're going. That's really what is the point of love, is to feel that oneness. There's no more separation between you and I and the other person that's involved. And when you have, that sense of connection, belonging, love, safety, that is the medicine, that is the healing. And that is the journey home. So this is from the spiritual teachings, by the way. So don't take my advice. This is just what I've learned the last couple of years of being on this wild ride and learning things to get better at life, just like yourself. So the ego trap is believing that we are separate. And every time you experience a strong emotional trigger or charge in your relationships or in a conversation with someone that you love or you're close with, your boss, they're triggering that little girl, that little boy within you that basically didn't get their needs met in childhood. And now we're going to repairing them. So I want you to think about, whose love did you crave the most as a child? Was it your mom or your dad's? Not whose love did you get, but whose love did you crave? I definitely for sure craved my dad's because he left, so he wasn't there. He wasn't around. So, of course, when I come into relationships as an adult, I go towards guys that are maybe a little bit more emotionally unavailable, that can't give me the safety and open their heart for love, because it's exactly what my dad was like. So you see this pattern. There's usually we go out with our parents and we're like, I'm going out with my dad. Oh my God. So to break the cycle of the ego trap is to break that need to get the love from your mom or your dad, whether you're in a relationship with a man or a woman, is we're trying to fulfill some form of hole or void that we didn't get with our parents. You see where I'm going? Does anyone relate to that? You should give me a wave or a thumbs up or something like that. If you have any questions, if this is resonating, please let me know. I'd love to know in episode 52. So a lot of the time we go out with people that resemble an aspect of our parents. And it's not that we can't find love and connection and union, sacred union in that, but obviously, and now we're going to kind of go into a bit about understanding our emotional triggers, and I'm going to give you a little practice. So obviously you've just said, okay, whose love did you crave, your mom, your dad's? And now I want you to ask yourself, write it down. Who did you have to be to receive that love? Who did you have to be to receive the love of your mom or your dad? So who did you have to be? So for me, I had to be the loud one. I had to be the funny one. Like kind of like wanted to walk into the room and be like, look at me, get attention. Like look at me, see me, because I didn't feel seen. I didn't feel like there was enough energy. My mom didn't have enough eyes for all of us because she was bringing us up on her own. So there was that little wound within me that's like, oh, I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard. So then I go out in my relationships and in my life, and the ego trap that I've been caught in and created was, okay, I need to be the biggest, the most successful, the loudest, have all the things to get that love, light, validation from people. So the journey home for me has been actually coming back into that vulnerable side, that kind of sweetness that I had to disconnect from. And it's interesting because now I'm more now the men that I actually are attracted to are very much like more sweet and heart open and beautiful. And actually in the past I would never find that attractive. I'd be like, oh, that's not attractive, because I hadn't healed that wound, that inner child, and I was attracted to something that was more similar to my dad, that was more avoidant or couldn't give that love. So hopefully that's making sense to you in your relationships. I'm just giving this as an example. So who did you have to be to receive that love? Did you have to be the good girl, the good boy, the successful one, or always help mom and dad out, or just kind of get a feel for that? And then if maybe you can think of a time in your life where you were like, think of a need that was missing. So maybe it was a need for unconditional love, it was the need for autonomy, it was the need for authenticity, freedom, safety, belonging. What need do you think that wasn't met in your childhood? And then I want you to look at maybe what, like for me, it was safety for sure. What can you see in your relationships right now if you're trying to meet those needs in your relationships, which is totally normal. We have to meet our needs, don't we? So now have a think, okay, which need was not met? What need have I been trying to meet in my relationships? So now I want to speak about, like, obviously meeting those needs. So I want you to elicit emotion or feeling that you don't want. So for example, the last time you were triggered, this is a great example. Obviously there's maybe that need was not met. So that need for authenticity, for safety, for belonging, for love, or whatever the need was, it was not met in this example. So you got triggered by someone recently, potentially you have a memory to mind. And I want you to then ask and reflect, okay, what maybe need was not met in that example? And what emotion did I not want to feel? And I want you to, this is where present moment awareness comes in. When you do feel that strong emotional charge, that trigger, that fire in your belly, that tightness in your chest, you can't speak because your throat feels like numb or constricted. I want you to just start to feel those emotions. This is when we start to learn about our nervous system and, okay, what comes alive when I get triggered. And then I can start to trace it back to, okay, so this moment right now is not the moment. Yes, this situation happened with this person. It pissed me off, or I got frustrated or angry. But I want you to ask yourself, okay, where is that maybe related to what's happened in the past, where I didn't feel seen or heard or respected? What need was not met? And as you recognize the emotion you don't want to feel, so, okay, I don't want to feel anger in my chest. This feels uncomfortable. And then I want you to actually just drop in and close your eyes, whether you do this now or later. And just for a minute, just feel into where you feel that emotion in the chest or in the body, and locate where it is. If it's, my clients sometimes say it's in the stomach, in the chest, in the heart, in the throat. And you're kind of connecting back to that memory where you felt that trigger, that charge. And this is where we kind of start to see when the ego is kind of protecting us, keeping us safe. And as you start to recognize that, I want you to just feel into it, allow it to be there. Instead of going into the story around the emotion, which keeps us stuck in the actual emotion itself. Often when we feel contracted, we feel anxious, we feel overwhelmed or panicked, it's because we're actually just stuck in the emotion in our head, and we actually just need to drop into the body, which can be uncomfortable for a minute or two. And even if you turn that emotion up and just feel it, just be with it, breathe with it. Right here, right now, I feel anxiousness in my chest. Just say or in your mind what you feel. And once you can start to recognize those feelings, you're actually starting to detach it from the story, knowing that the anxiousness and the sadness and the fear and all of the emotions are within each and every one of us because we're human. And the more that we get to understand our emotional patterns and reactions and triggers, the less that they have power over us. Because emotions are like waves. They're going to come and they're going to go. And we get to decide. The ego is if we're constantly at the whim to our every emotion, they're going to wipe us out. These waves of emotion are going to wipe us out. And then we can't show up for life in a conscious, calm, collected way on our mission, on our purpose. So once you start to regulate your nervous system, your emotions in the moment of trigger, and I do this through meditation, there's so many other practices, but just simply witnessing your body and your emotional body, and okay, right here, right now, my partner said this, I feel like this. And even if you have to take a minute to actually leave the room and just say, look, I need some space to just feel into this. This is not you, this is me. This is from deep within. This is my inner child. This is my inner little child that needs some love. I'm just gonna go give her some love. And that's really how we start to dissolve the ego trap of separation. Knowing that this moment right here, right now that you're getting triggered in is just simply a call, and a call to go deeper into this emotion, because emotions are messengers. And when you really start to witness the emotion and be present with it, it has a message for us. So I'm not sure if there's any questions. But so yeah, we're basically recapping. You're locating the emotion in the body. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Can you stay with the experience versus the story? Oh, she said this, that's the story. Drop into the body. Allow the charge to if you feel the charge, feel the anger, feel the anxiousness, feel the sadness. Don't be afraid of it. A lot of the time we're afraid of our emotions. We're told to not feel them and be numb, but then we're not living the full human experience. So now that you're aware of what you don't want to feel, what is it that you do want to feel right here, right now? So now you can make steps. So, okay, I want to feel more joy, more happy, more connected. So then you can start to cultivate that emotion. So start to connect with the opposite emotion of the negative one. And then once you connect with that emotion, write an empowering belief that can replace the all unwanted emotion. And this is where we're changing our internal space, our mind, which then changes our external world. Because the ego we're trapped in the ego and the mind if we think that we can't change our reality. Because if we've created an unfortunate event or a situation that we don't like, we can also uncreate it. So now just writing down the empowering belief that's going to replace this old unwanted belief that maybe there's a part of you that didn't feel loved or didn't feel safe in your relationship with your mom or your dad or whatever relationship it is. This is why you get to reparent yourself, your inner child, in your now relationship or your relationship with a friend or a partner. Then you can come up with 5 things that you appreciate in your life right now. And this just is helping us to be with the experience, be with the emotion, knowing that it's just an emotion. It will come and go like a wave. And the more we attach to the story around the emotion, that's when we get stuck in this. And that is the ego trap. Because then we're not connected to this. And this is where the magic is. The love, the joy, the intimacy, the depth, the safety. Because love is safety and safety is love. And you know what, something my partner and I, we've been together 5 years, and what we do on a regular basis is we do relationship check-in. So every Sunday night, actually this week we did it on Monday, but most Sundays we say to our partner, okay, we're going to hold space for that inner child to come out. So maybe you've had a trigger in the week and you're like, okay, I don't want to deal with it now. I've got the kids, I've got work. Check-in on Sunday. So then we come together, we create that time and space. And he will have, 30 minutes. He normally takes like an hour. He normally has more stuff than I. I'm more annoying than he is. And we say, these are the questions. What are you proud of in me this week? So what are you proud of in your partner? If you have a partner, you can do it for yourself. Okay, what are you proud of? What is something that you desire more of in a relationship? Maybe it's more intimacy, so them to do the dishes. What is a boundary that maybe you crossed or I crossed? What is a boundary that you crossed this week? What is something you, what is the other one? Boundary, desire. There's one more, but I forgot it. It will come. So what is the desire for the relationship? Like where is this relationship going? We need that momentum. And the relationship check-ins allow us to be seen and heard in our relationship. So we can put the ego to the side and two hearts can come together and start to see and hear one each other. And from that space, that's where the depth and vulnerability and connection come through. Okay, what is it you want more of in the relationship? What can I do to love you more? What can I do to show you that I love you? I want to make your life easier. And sometimes it's really hard to do that in a trigger. Like when we feel triggered, it's like, nah, I don't want to do that. I just want to run away and hide. So yeah, let me know how that helps. So just to recap everything. So the ego trap is obviously the separation of illusion, like that we're separate, and sacred union, sacred partnership. Healing in relationships is about two hearts coming together. Kind of, I wouldn't say that we're broken or anything like that, but coming together to become more whole. And that's why I love the word meditation. It's actually in Italian, Latin. Actually, like it's like to make whole. Like meditation to make whole, to make the mind whole. The more that we can observe that little person inside of us, that ego, that part of us that feels sad or rejected or angry, instead of reacting, and that's why we're going to do meditation afterwards. So we're going to learn not to react from those emotions. Once we start to regulate those emotions in this moment, okay, I feel angry, kind of even journal about them and just go through the process in our head instead of going on our phone, emotionally eating, smoking or drinking, because we don't want to face the emotions, but actually just being with them, which is super powerful. And that's what I guide women with. I do a lot of this work to support you into going to the places you don't want to go in my yoga therapy sessions. And yeah, it's super powerful work. And of course, it takes time to practice this. But once you start to become more aware, we do that through meditating regularly. Once we start to feel those triggers in the moment, instead of projecting onto that person, you made me feel like this, I'm angry because of this, we can actually say, okay, there's anger within me. This event, this situation just brought it out of me, but the anger is mine. I feel anger. I'm not angry. I feel anger. I feel sadness. So you can witness the emotion, stay with it, drop the story around it, just feel it in the body, feel the sensations come alive. And then once you have felt them, can journal about it. Okay, this is what I don't want to feel. I don't want to feel angry. I don't want to feel sad. I want to feel joy, love, connect to that emotion, connect to a time when you did feel love, joy, all the things. And then write down some empowering beliefs that help you overcome this trigger. Okay, when I take 5 minutes for myself, like I connect back to the feelings that you want to feel. That makes you feel love, joy, happy. So those empowering beliefs are connecting to this experience and giving you a little bit of momentum, that positive momentum, that when you slow down and you're just present with yourself, you can get yourself out of that ego trap. So then you're not projecting onto your partner, creating separation, creating disconnection, because we don't want that. We want love, we want harmony. So once you've done that, then you can maybe even write 5 things you appreciate in your partner, which is always nice to do. Maybe you don't want to do it straight away, but when you've cooled down, and then invite in that relationship check-in. If that's something that lights you up, if you'd like to do a relationship check-in, I really recommend it. It's such a beautiful way. It's like a therapy session with your partner, and you give each other 10, 15, an hour to just be heard, and you're not saying anything back to them. You're consciously listening with your heart open, not being defensive, because the ego is defensive. The ego wants to defend, and the heart just really wants to accept and to let love in. So that relationship check-ins, you can ask, what is a desire for you this week? What is something you're proud of in me? What is a boundary I may have crossed? And yeah, like how can we move forward this week and have more joy, more love, more fun together? So yeah, that's basically what I do on a regular basis. I'm super open to questions. I was thinking we'll do questions now, and then anyone that wants to stay on for the little meditation, then they can do that as well. How do I express my ego for myself? I mean, it's hampering my personal life and making me more rigid with decisions. Can be flexible if I want. I don't know if we want to suppress the ego. It's more to be a witness of it. So that's why I love meditating. And I have a 5-day free meditation challenge on my Instagram at Bryre Roots. So you can go and check me out. And basically, when we're meditating, we start to become the observer of our thoughts. So there's a higher self, I like to call it, and the ego self. The ego self is the monkey mind. It's always talking at us. It's like exhausting. And then once we start to meditate, we start to become the witness. So we're witnessing. There's a part of us that's witnessing this monkey mind. It's like the higher self is like it's just chilling. It's just chilling. And the more that we start to meditate, the more we start to slow down, take space, do nothing. Because meditation is a process of being and becoming. We're actually being in stillness, in silence. And it's uncomfortable at the beginning because we start to see all these egoic tendencies in the mind and stories and emotions come up. But once we start on the meditative journey for a long time, like I've been on it for a while now, maybe 6-7 years, we start to become that witness. So a thought can come in and I'm like, okay, Bryre's got a talk today. Oh, I haven't prepared enough or whatever the story is. I can choose consciously if I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. That's my ego keeping me safe. Oh, you're not good enough. You know, blah, blah, blah. Higher self is like, you got this, babe. Like you've been doing this for like years. Like you got this. You're amazing. I'm going to tune into that one because I know that that's going to make me feel more joy, love, connection. It's going to help me. So it's just, you get to decide which path you get to choose. Of course, we need tools like meditation, self-reflection, journaling to start to become that witness. I hope that answered your question. Any more questions before we do our meditation? I hope you guys are getting some value. How can I get away from the ego trap and make my relationship more healthy and nurturing? Thanks, Olivia. Well, it kind of just answered what you said. I really believe also working with a therapist, like my partner and I, we have, regularly check-ins with therapists, and just as such a nice time to have like someone that hears both sides, they don't take sides, but they can kind of see your patterns and what's coming up, and that self-reflection is going to help you actually have more compassion and love, more nurturing for your partner. I know when I had a therapy session, I was like, oh my God, am I doing that thing? Like, it was because when your partner's telling you you're doing that thing, you're like, I don't want to listen to him. Like, you're doing that thing. But then when a therapist or like someone like myself that kind of starts to look at our ego in a more loving, compassionate way, we come back to, okay, this little Olivia just feels not safe or doesn't feel that unconditional love. And we can start to understand her more from a different perspective. Then we can meet those needs that maybe you are not feeling that you can meet in the relationship. And also speaking with your partner about it. Like, I think when your partner knows your emotional wounds, and my partner knows I have a fear of abandonment, bless his soul. So he knows that, okay, if he threatened to leave me, I'm going to leave. He knows that would bring up a lot for me because I would feel like, oh, that's not very nice, Of course, when we're in an unconscious partnership, people do that. But when we're in a conscious partnership, we want to be aware of our partner's wounding and the things that make them feel sad, because we want to take our partner's emotions and heart like our own heart. And that's really the journey of sacred union, so we can have that intimacy and love that we crave. Any more questions before we go into the meditation? How do I make my partner aware of the ego, which is ruining our relationship? You can't make your partner aware of it. I would say do your work on your ego, and the more that you can be less reactive when her ego is alive, that dissolves ego in the moment. if you're reacting to her ego, then your ego is going to be like charged too. But if you can go and do that exercise, so you can say, look, babe, I feel like my ego is coming alive, or your ego is coming alive. I need a minute to cool down, or to just chill in my body and just feel these sensations. When you start to change, that's going to shift the way she responds and she reacts, for sure. And it's a practice. I'm not perfect at it either. Like, this is why I do this work. It's a practice. When you get triggered in the moment, of course we become defensive. We don't want to look our shit in the moment. Like, no, I don't look at it. But yeah, I think the best work we can do is on ourselves. And of course, we can't change anyone. We can only change ourselves, and we can only lovingly accept someone. But if they don't want to change, then we have to change. And if our changing doesn't inspire their growth and change, then sometimes we have to look deeper. Like, is this a relationship I want to be in long term? Which is scary, but sometimes that has to happen. Any more questions? Yo. Ego is indeed what makes my husband asking for a divorce, despite all the love I gave to him, and I still love him, and I still try reaching out to him, but he still doesn't want to pursue the divorce. It's so sad and destructive. Yeah, thanks, Paula, for sharing that. It's crazy. Like 1 in 4, I think 2 in 4, half of people that get married get divorced. And I generally do believe that a lot of us don't do this work of looking at our shit, looking at our wounds or triggers in relationships. And I think it comes out in relationships. And I think, honestly, like, I know this is sometimes not what you want to hear, but I think everything happens for a reason. And, if he wants a divorce, then that's his truth. And even though it's so sad, and your probably heart feels very, torn and broken right now, I know so deeply that life is giving you this opportunity to go within, to maybe receive the support and help that you need from a therapist, from a coach, from someone that can help you grow and evolve as a person and find that love and that wholeness for yourself. So whether he comes back or in your next relationship, it doesn't happen, whatever the thing that's happened between you guys. But I understand it must be a very painful experience for you, and send you so much love. Big love to you, Olivia. Totally broken. Thank you, Paula. Send some love to Paula. Sure. We love you, Paula. We have to withdraw the line between ego and self-respect if that's a rule for all. Yeah, for sure. Like, my partner says a lot of the times when we get into our heated discussions, like, I gotta draw the line. His book is called Draw the Line, so maybe you should check that out. A bit of self-promotion for him. But yeah, I think honestly, like, you have to know what you stand for and your values. And if someone keeps breaking them, if they don't end up respecting your values, then that is a deeper conversation. I've shared my partner's page because he's all about boundaries and values, and he shares really good content and information, so you can go check him out. But I think that there comes a time that's like, do I want to be in something that I feel uncomfortable? Sometimes we're just not compatible. Teal Swan, she does a really cool video about compatibility. I highly recommend checking it out. Yeah, one more question, and then I'm gonna share a little bit about how you can connect with me and continue this journey together, this conversation, and how I can support you. And then we'll do a meditation. How does that sound? Any more questions? Is it possible for the ego trap to manifest in healthy and environment? Of course, yes, 100%. Like, my partner and I have been together 5 years. We've had 3 breakups, and we're always working on ourselves individually together. And it's not easy. Relationships aren't always easy. And I really believe the more that we devote ourselves to healing in relationships, like, the person, like, we can get into a relationship with someone and then break up with them and find somebody else, but ultimately it's going to keep coming up. The things that we struggle with in this relationship is going to come up in the next relationship. So it's just wondering whether or not the person that you're with right now, Daisy, is committed to heal with you. And I think that should be the most important work that we do in this lifetime in our partnerships, so the next generation of children don't have to do as much healing. So I really believe that once we heal our relationships with self, with one another, and therefore the next generation starts to heal. So I really believe we can transform our ego. I've done a lot of work on that and sat with plant-based medicine and done so many different things to help my own ego, and it's still a working process. Like it still comes up, and I think if you're open to reflection and your partner is open to support you, then that's the best kind of relationship, and you can work through anything. Okay, so we're going to do a little meditation. If you're still with me, I'm celebrating you. So before we do the meditation, I'm going to just share a little bit about my offerings and how you can connect with me. So I wrote my Instagram at Bryre Roots at the top. I'll just share it now. So I share a lot of things on there, a lot of free offerings. I've got a free meditation challenge, 5-day meditation challenge. It's amazing. That will help you on your meditation journey. If you want to go deeper into this work, I have a program called Head to Heart, which is I primarily work with women, and it's helping women come into relationship with their heart, expanding in their love and their purpose, coming back into your power and your confidence, especially maybe after a breakup, you're transitioning through careers. And a big part of the work that I do is healing the mind, healing the body, so we can step into our power, our purpose, our pleasure in love, in money, in abundance, in relationships. It's very holistic. It's very much devoted to spiritual practice and guiding you through looking at our mind, looking at our ego, so we can transform it. And together in community, it's going to be a 10-week journey starting the 20th of May. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. My boyfriend's going to come and be a co-host. He does a lot of shadow work, so helping understand these parts, these wounds that keep coming up in our relationships, so we can evolve from them, so we can heal them and transform them. So that starts 20th of May for 10 weeks. You can send me a message on Instagram, go to my links. I think they'll put the links up for the Head to Heart program. I'm also running a retreat in Costa Rica in November, which is going to be totally epic. Also just for ladies, unfortunately. The meditation challenge is for everyone, but the Costa Rica retreat is full of adventure. It's really, the healing is in the adventure. We're going to be doing so many cool things every day, like going on waterfall hikes, going to the beach, doing, zip lining through the Costa Rican jungles, animals, also being in community with women, cacao, breath work, connecting to our sensuality, our pleasure, our womb, lots of healing, lots of really beautiful food, just nature, love, connection. And when we're in an environment like either in the group or in person in retreat, we really get to see, the simplicity of life. And that really is what it comes back down to, is belonging. We want to feel like we belong. We want to feel seen. We want to feel loved, connected. And that's been my biggest mission in life, is to bring these experiences, these healing experiences, whether it be in my group coaching programs, my one-on-one sessions, or my retreats, is how can we bring sisters, women together to go on this healing journey, so we can get better at life together, we get better at love, get better at being connected to our feminine energy, which then, does attract that conscious masculine that wants to heal with us, that wants to do this work for our future, for our children, so we can walk the path with more love, more abundance, more joy. And that's really my mission in life. And I didn't have that in childhood, so I'm bloody super committed to creating it. So go check those offerings out. We're going to do a little meditation now. So close down your eyes and just get comfortable. Soften your belly, and just take a deep breath in and out. I'll probably go for around 15 minutes. So hopefully you have that time for yourself. I really think it's important. Just feeling the ground beneath you, feeling that support. And even maybe say mentally, I am supported right here, right now. Thanks to the Mind Journal for having me on. And we're just going to connect to our breath. So connecting through our nose, in through our nose, out through our nose. And just allowing the exhale to be slightly longer than the inhalation. Beautiful. And just allowing the breath to be riding the breath in, riding the breath out. One steady, smooth stream of breath. all the way in, all the way out. And as we practice meditation, like I said, helps become aware of the ego, of the part of ourselves that is self-sabotaging our love, our relationships, of the thing that we truly desire, which is love, connection. Breathing deliberately, finding that sweet balance between effort and effortlessness. That is life. We need to apply effort to become effortless. And just taking a breath in and out. Now we'll start with a breath ratio of 6-3-6-3. So I'll count the first round. We're going to inhale for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold the breath for 3 in the chest. 1, 2, 3. Exhaling for 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Holding the breath out. Breath retention for 3. So you're going to continue this rhythm, 6-3-6-3, counting the breath internally. So inhaling in the chest for 6 through the nose. And then I'm holding the breath in the chest for 3, keeping the chin tucked in. And then exhaling for 6, you can release the chin. And holding the breath out for 3. So just continue to do this for a couple of rounds on your own. As we slow the breath down, we slow the mind down. And we slow our mind down, we slow those habits, those reactions down that are coming from maybe that ego, wounded child place. Beautiful. A couple more rounds like this. Just notice that you can breathe an evenness to all sides of the breath. 6-3-6-3. And you can even keep your chin in and keep your neck long, connecting you to your heart, just reminding to go back to that place in our meditation. And now when you just take the breath ratio to 8-4-8-4. So inhaling for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Holding the breath in the chest for 4, 2, 3, 4. Exhaling for 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And hold the breath out, breath retention for 4, 2, 3, 4. Continue like this for a couple more rounds, 8-4-8-4. And just notice how it feels to breathe in for 8 counts. Can you sense the embodied experience of the breath? So when you fill the lungs for 8, how does it feel? Feel this fullness in the chest. Kind of drop the mind counting and just intuitively feel, how does it feel to fill the lungs and the chest for 8 counts and hold the breath in for 4. And then as you release for 8 and let go, kind of let go of any of the stories, any of the mind stuff that you've been feeling. Just doing a couple more rounds like this. As you fill up, you may feel warm, uplifting. And as you send the feelings of exhale and exhale suspension, feel the lower belly and the pelvic floor releasing, letting go. Just doing another couple of rounds like this. Beautiful. Now just dropping the breath back to 6-3-6-3 like we did at the beginning, counting internally the rhythm. And just letting go of the mind counting, just intuitively feeling what 6 counts feels like. Holding the breath for 3, exhaling for 6, holding the breath out for 3. And now coming back to a 4-2-4-2 rhythm. More gentle, the breathing, the breath. coming to an effortless breath, gentle whisper. And just starting to come into effortless breathing as you remain aware of the breath, but completely free of effort. Now I want you to take this awareness and move it all the way around your head, your throat, your neck, from the top of your shoulders all the way around this area. Allow your awareness to move around this area, noticing any sensations. You may notice a breeze on one side of the face, a tingle, an itch, some tension. You might be feeling like some energy is moving. Now you're slowing the mind down, releasing any of those emotions that have been stuck there. It's totally normal. Notice if there's any mental story about sensation. Just come back into the experience, into the feeling, letting go of the story. As you're moving awareness around the head, the shoulders, expanding that awareness. Expanding all awareness around the head, the neck, throat at once. So you surrender to this part of the experience, allowing your body to surrender now and now and now. And as you let your awareness drop from the tops of your shoulders, all the way from the hips, the back of the torso, your hands, the middle section of the body, let your awareness move around. Whatever you're noticing, just seeing if you can be with the experience, sensing the belly breathing. Maybe you feel a slight pressure of your back, tingle in your fingers, just noticing what's around you in this middle section of the body. And notice if there's any tendency to invite story. See if you can be aware with the experience without the absence of story. Expanding your awareness around the torso. And just allowing this attitude of trustful surrender to expand your awareness. I am aware of and surrender to this experience exactly as it is in this moment now. Allowing your awareness to move down to the lower part of your body, from the hips all the way to the toes, the ankles, the calves, the lower section of your body. Just allowing any sensations to be there, expanding awareness around the hips, the toes. Present moment awareness meets trustful surrender in this moment, now and now and now. now, just being with the experience, I want to expand awareness around your whole body at once. Expanding your awareness around your whole body at once. One big bubble of sensation around your body. You can practice Kaya Sthira, which is steadiness. Being perfectly still as you're trusting, allowing yourself to surrender to the divine within you, the spaciousness. Expanding all of your awareness right here, right now, in this very moment and the next moment. When you're ready, you can bring your hands into your heart space. And we'll just do one big, beautiful Om together. If you're listening and you can do an Om, please do. Take a deep breath in to Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Wow. Thank you for joining me. I hope you feel a little bit more grounded. And yeah, so excited to talk to you. I'm going to open the space for any more questions for the next 5 minutes, and then we'll close the recording. So yeah, if you have any questions about connecting with me, about the work that I do, how I can support you coming into more healthy relating, then yeah, I would love to support you. Do you organize a healing course somewhere? I really need to go somewhere to meditate. Yes, I do, Paula. So I should really have it up. I should send it to you. If you connect with me on Instagram, Paula, and just send me a message, I'll send you it's always nice to chat and say hello, isn't it? I'll send you my 5-day free meditation challenge to get you started. And then we can go from there. We can have a call. I don't have a course right now. I have an online live program, like my Head to Heart program, which is we're learning a lot about meditation in that, so much meditation. So that would be the best offering that I have right now. It's 10 weeks. So it's pretty in depth. Every day for the next 10 weeks. Amazing. Yeah, send me a message. I'd love to connect. Amazing. Yeah, after this live, I'll go on my Instagram and say hi to everyone that's listened, and we can have a little chat and connect. And yeah, I'd love to support you in any way. I have so many free resources. You can join my emailing list. I share a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just really devoted to this healing path, and working with women is my medicine as well. Like, I just love it so much. My partner works with men. So if you're a guy and you want some help with the ego trap, then I would head over to his page, and we actually work together as well. I'm working on his program right now, which is fun. Is there any other questions? Anything else? Is anyone going to come join me in Costa Rica? Because that would be cool. I know we just met, but maybe you're feeling it. Maybe you're feeling the Costa Rican jungle vibes. I totally am, even though I'm in Bali. How to distinguish between ego? Oh, that's such a good question, Elizabeth. So I would say ego is like quite reactive and quite, it's almost like the ego is like busy. It's like talking at us all the time. And for me, the best way I can connect with intuition is through meditation, or even just through like going outside and just being in nature and just being off my phone. Intuition is like a different sound. It has like it's like a deeper knowing of truth. And the more we start to trust our intuition, the more it guides us. But it's like, when you put a glass down on the floor and your intuition, something says to you, like, don't put the glass out, like, move it, you're going to smash it or something. And you don't listen and you do the thing, like, next 5 minutes later, you smash the glass. So your intuition was already telling you. But a lot of the time, we're just not present to listen to it. So I think getting present, getting really just more present, like, that's been the hardest thing that I've struggled with is presence. So that's why I meditate so much. And if I didn't, God knows, I would be a crazy woman. So I think the more that we can make time to stillness, doesn't have to be meditation, but stillness in our life, so we can surrender to God and allowing God, the universe. Not necessarily, you don't have to believe in God, but allowing spirit, source, the universe to guide us in our decisions, because that's why we're going to be in alignment with Dharma. And that's a big part of my Head to Heart program, is getting us in physical, mentally, emotional balance so we can be in alignment with intuition. So ego is no longer running the show. And we can really be supported on our mission, in love, in business, in purpose, which is going to create the stability, the abundance, the joy, the happiness that we all deeply crave once we can let go of the ego. And like I said, it's always going to be there. It's just we learn how to navigate it more consciously. Great question, Elizabeth. So yeah, sign up for my 5-day free meditation challenge on my Instagram. If you go on the bio, you'll see it there, and you can just click on it. It says at the bottom, 5-day free meditation challenge. And you can start to connect with your higher self, your intuition. And yeah, if you have any questions, just send me a message. I'd love to support you in any way I can. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you for the Mind Journal, for having me on. I'm super, super grateful. And yeah, send you all so much love, so much healing, strength, and just know that whatever you're going through right now, if it's a breakup, a divorce, a health issue, obviously we don't see it in the moment. We don't see that, like, oh, this crappy experience is actually going to potentially be the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I think faith is something we cultivate through spiritual practice and through meditation. It's this faith that it's the antidote of fear. Because if we're on a spiritual journey, we realize that we're here to evolve. And life is just giving us things to evolve, whether that be a divorce, whether that be a breakup, whether that be a health issue. Life wants us to expand. That's Tantra. And if we're not expanding, if we're in the ego, in the comfort zone, life's going to push us out of it. And it can be uncomfortable. My teacher always says, life is more than prepared to teach you in forever-ending hardship your lessons. And if your life is more than prepared to teach you your lessons in their gentler forms, and if you're not prepared to listen, life is more than prepared to teach you in forever-ending hardship. So when you choose the path of consciousness, of spiritual practice, of maybe working with a teacher, a coach, a therapist, or having someone support you, you get to have a mirror, a reflection to the ego. And I think that's why relationships or working with someone is so powerful, because you have someone that sees you in all of your power and your beauty, in your joy, in your light, but it also can see the darkness and call you out on your bullshit. And that's totally what I do, which is great. With so much love and joy and compassion at the same time, because none of us are perfect. We're all figuring it out. And yeah, just celebrating you for being here and for taking your time out of the day to listen to me. So blessed. I'm going to leave the space now, as if maybe there's one more question. Otherwise, is having an ego a bad thing? No, I don't think it's a bad thing. I love my ego. Like, if I didn't have an ego, I wouldn't have the power, like the resilience to come up on live. And I mean, the Mind Journal have like 1.9 million followers. I'm presuming they're all legit, but that's a lot. My ego was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, ego is great. But if we're just unconscious to the ego, if we let that rule us, then we're going to be living like 2 different lives. So we just have to have that moment of pause, so we're not reacting to life, we're responding to life from higher self, from intuition. I hope that helps. Okay, guys, I'm sending you so much love. Thank you, Mind Journal. Go to Bryre Roots BRYRERWOTS. Choo choo. I think I'll put that down, the links in the show notes, so you can check me out. Come check me out. And let's have a chat. Let's have some fun. Let's connect. Much love. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.